Kiev. Yes, I heard. Martha was Beirut. Martha's dead now. Kiev. They told me it was Kiev. Okay, here's the problem. When the president and Zelensky had that call last summer, there had recently been an announcement that the Ukraine had been able to facilitate matters connected to its internal banking operations such that they were going to start being able to redeem coupons for bonds that had to be postponed for a period of time. This was before that phone call between Zelensky and Trump, and before the Democrats got all flustered about trying to make a big deal about it and flipping what they had already done with the Russia spy crap onto the Ukraine, right? We went through a year, 2 years of this Russia spy hysteria, and then we went through the last year or several months out of the last year with the Ukraine allegations and the strange sort of performances involving Ukrainians in congressional settings. But the information about what was pending last summer concerning the Ukrainian bond situation has disappeared. And at the time, what it said is that except for Russia, all of the financial institutions that the Ukraine was working with up until that time had agreed to allow for a postponing for a temporary period of time, and that the Ukraine had done something to put itself in a position where it was going to be able to pay. It was going to be able to pay on those obligations that had been requested for a temporary postponement. And this concerns a lot of questions because I'm rather certain that whatever the original terms were connected to these Ukrainian bonds specifically are incredibly, incredibly exploitative and are incredibly, incredibly unconscionable. And I personally have seen what was stripped of my life appear in not the Ukraine, by the way, but areas within the contiguous borders of the Ukraine that are contested. And I have seen what was previously the lives of people I used to know that I believe understood they had ancestry in the former Soviet Union, if not the Ukraine specifically, in the region around there. Their life was stripped of them and ended up in what is understood to be the Ukraine. And so, if there's a situation contesting repayment of bond obligations, especially considering perhaps the fact that the United States had obligations with the former Soviet Union that would have impacted obligations between Russia, the Ukraine, and other countries that were formerly in the Soviet Union, why are you going through a barrister? Why are you going through the United Kingdom? Why are you going through a bunch of old men that are going to force you to convert the Jew to a fucking Christian in order to make their payoff? Do you not think those good Christian girls can make a decision for themselves? You need to stop this immediately. It's about time you bring down this wall of complete unnecessary obstruction. It's way, 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 way obvious. Were you intending to extort the head of state and his aide? See, what happened with Trump? We've already revealed that, haven't we? Yes. Has anybody arrested the members of the squad? No. Has anybody arrested those women in Congress or those men in Congress that signed on to those bills? No. Has anybody arrested members of the Trump administration for what they did? No. Right? We also haven't passed the budget, and we also haven't acknowledged what was done with those commissions set up by Barack Obama, including one that's still currently pending, and if I'm not mistaken, is due for a report. Is that report now? It was 5 years from November of 2016. So we're about 4 years into a 5-year deadline. on a commission that was set up in a lame duck session, right? All of these things are very important and we need to attend to them directly. It's not appropriate to allow for an illicit intercession, an abuse of judicial process. All it does is make a mockery of the entire system of jurisprudence.